Sundown. Hello, I'm Doreen Ellen Beldotan, and I just love standing behind the camera and you can get to see the gorgeous sunset. There's something that I want to try to explain. I'll say it in short. The names of the Hebrew numbers are they're not numbers, they're values in a very real and concrete sense, that is to say moral values. So the numbers in Hebrew are ascending moral magnitudes that are contained within the other. We don't have abstract numbers. The fact that the numbers were abstracted from their moral values is a very, very bad thing. What it did was it allowed worlds to be engineered on nothingness. They're empty. They're just the numerical values without the fulsome moral teachings that are contained within them. And when those numbers were used by the Masons to construct their various systems and buildings and their integrated works, the whole thing, they built them on more or less nothing. However, they did have a recollection, a memory of the time when numbers were fulsome moral magnitudes, and they referred to them as magic numbers. These numbers are not magic, and all numbers are fulsome moral magnitudes. And what we call midot. Midot are people's moral attributes, which is also the words for measurement in Hebrew. Midot, measurements, actually, the word for measurements. And so what they did was, in order to make their structures more durable and more lasting, they did program into them certain numbers which they were told are of particular importance, like the number 33, like the number 13, like the number 666, all of which they thought were magical numbers, and they thought that if they infused them with negative meanings, that they would impart to their structures and to their works durability and strength, and also negative purpose. Well, what is happening now is all of their structures that were based on just empty numbers, just engineering it according to empty measurements of numbers, are disintegrating very, very quickly and easily. We see that in the last couple of years, a number of church roofs have collapsed. The most famous of which is just recently the roof on the chapel of St. Joseph has collapsed in Rome. Just a moment. A few days before that, a bridge collapsed in Genoa. It is definitely of significance that the Pope's family, I believe on his maternal side, I'm not certain of it, but his family does hail from Genoa, from what I have read. So this was a very, very clear message. In fact, it was also a message from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who was pursued by the Romans because he said that the only reason why the Romans build bridges is to extract taxes. He was pursued by them, and after over 2,000 years, this is payback for what they did to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and his son, making them flee and live in a cave until the emperor died. The numbers that have been used with negative connotations in their buildings are all being reinterpreted in accordance with true prophetic tradition. Now, the Hebrew value for the word prophet, which is navi, is 63. 63 is also the value of the word bone, which means mason, which means someone who builds. The prophets are reinterpreting all of the structures that were built on numbers not in accord with prophetic tradition, not in accord with God's will. And all of those structures will either be reinterpreted into something higher if they can be, or they will be dissembled. You are now going to see the collapse of the entire structure of the Masons that is not in accordance with the will of Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, and his father David, and the holy prophets. All of that is going to come down. It is already in the process of falling, and it will go into free fall very soon. As the song says, don't believe me, just watch. The truth does not require belief. You will see it with your eyes, and you will know that it is the ancient Holy One, the one and only God of Israel, who is doing this, and that there is no truth other than the Torah that God gave to the Jewish people. You will know that this is not because of directed energy weapons or HARP or any such nonsense. You will know that this is God doing it, and you will rejoice when you see what real godliness is and what the world is intended to be. I see that that must be Ayelet HaShachar, that must be Venus, that's also called Noga, is in the sky. It is very significant that all of the stars are gathered around the earth. We are, the stars themselves, God forbid, don't impart powers, but the powers that they are physical representations of and integrations of are on the side, the right side, from our perspective of the sun. That is, they are at God's right hand, and we are being given all of that power. The Christian world will collapse and disintegrate. Islam will collapse and disintegrate. And the true Torah, as God envisioned it from the beginning, will become apparent to all. I'm very excited. I've waited a very, very, very long time for this. Thank you for listening.